Welcome back to Lead Stronger Longer. Today, I am thrilled to introduce you to someone I deeply admire, not only for her intuitive genius, her sharp strategic mind, but something we have in common, which she is also a caring kitty foster. Mara Whitener is also known as the CEO Whisperer. With over 2 decades of entrepreneurial experience, Mara helps established CEOs transform their relationship with their businesses. She is a business puzzle solver, and she is obsessed with optimizing the operational core, where the people, the systems, and the profits meet. Through her strategic growth partnership and a powerful integration of human design, Mara helps leaders create businesses that flow with their energy, not against it. This episode is packed with gold for any high-performing leader craving sustainable success and deeper fulfillment. Well, let's dive in. We always like to start with your favorite quote or mantra. What's yours?
Oh goodness, I have so many. It's one that most people use, but it's one I use with all of my clients is basically keep it simple. It's like the KISS method, is keep it simple. We like to overcomplicate everything. And really, when we can strip it back and keep it simple and keep the priority in mind, life and business become easy.
I agree. Now, how do you do that? And how do you actually implement that policy and mantra in your life?
Yes, that is really the age-old question. How do you do this? Everybody wants ease and flow in their life and in their business, but we get caught up in the rat race. And how do you do it? And how you do it is really by getting to the priority of the priority. Where a lot of people get hung up is obligation. If I need to do this, I need to do this, and everyone's counting on me to do this, and then I have this, and then I have this. And it's having the courage to say no. It's having the courage to put you and your priorities in life first. It feels a little selfish, right? We've been conditioned to be selfish, but it's not. Who else is going to put you first? It's really putting those things first and then deciding what it is you need to surround yourself with, and then what activities go from there. It's taken, life to figure out how to really implement it. And I made a post on socials the other day because I forget sometimes that, I had a day, it was outlined at a couple meetings in the morning and, a long client session in the afternoon and a big break. And I was gonna get a couple projects knocked out. And, it still felt like an easy day. It wasn't overwhelming with to-dos or anything. And I got a text from a friend in the morning that just said, "Hey, can you connect this morning?" And I said, "You got it." And I just felt that I needed to be on that call instead of in my second meeting. And I pushed my second meeting off, made that phone call. 2.5 hours later, we got off the phone. I went into my next client meeting, but there was zero stress about the things that didn't get done, the emails that didn't get sent, the project that didn't get worked on, because I lean in and I trust that the right things are going to happen when they need to happen. And I've had the courage to put the actual priority of things ahead of time. And I don't
Oh,
regret a thing.
that's excellent. Yeah, thank you for walking us through actually you doing your talk, what you said, because I heard you say courage and you need to have priorities, and it sounds to me like you have that and you're practicing that, which I personally love because I think we need to be our own first best,
Yes.
leading ourselves first, right? Will you take us back to a moment, or maybe it was a season that set you on this path? And when I say this path, maybe you haven't always been the CEO whisperer. And I know you have human design as tools, but maybe if you could take us back
Mhm.
to the before and give us an idea, is there a personal story? And when I say this, sometimes I get pushback, but often the breakdown happens right before the breakthrough. So I don't think breakdowns are a bad thing. I think they're an awesome opportunity for transforming what needed to be transformed. So if you take us back to maybe a moment or a season, could you share that personal story?
Oh, absolutely. I graduated college. I went straight into running an insurance marketing firm for about 9 years, and I met my now husband during that period of time and became quickly aware that there was just more. This wasn't where I wanted to spend my career, the rest of my life. There was just more. I couldn't define it at that point, but I knew there was more. And so I took a leap of faith at that point. I was in my 20s and took a leap of faith and quit. Thought I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to figure out what I'm meant to be here to do. I'm super talented, but what is that? So I decided to have some fun and I took different interests and things and I turned them into businesses. So I've kind of been a serial entrepreneur since then. And I've learned a lot along the way. And the big thing I learned along the way is what I am meant to be here to do. And so I've had multiple businesses. They've all taken off very, very quickly. But the last business took off very, very quickly. And I started having colleagues reach out. I had competitors reach out and they said, "We've watched you do this for years. How are you doing this?" And it actually made me stop and think and go, wait a minute, what? I just do it. What are you talking about? And this was really the catalyst of this is what you're meant to be on this earth to do. And I started helping them on the side because really all they were looking for is what all of us are looking for. We have this business that we've started, we have this passion, we have this mission, and we're really still motivated to make this thing work. But it feels really hard, really frustrating, really overwhelming at the current moment. How can I have my life and how can I have this business at the same time and be a whole person? And what I had figured out a long time ago was kind of in the back end and the logistics, like what do you need to put in place to make this thing happen? Make this life, make this business happen. And so I started helping them on the side. And at that time, my business was still growing, ended up burning myself out. But I also at the same time found my calling. So it was kind of this bittersweet, burnt myself out. I mean, you look in the textbook for the definition, my picture is there. All the mental side effects, the physical side effects. And so I ended up selling that business. But then I took a little bit of time off before I really pursued this full time to really do some deeper soul searching. I mean, I felt like I was at the top of the world and the bottom of the world all at the same time. I felt excited that I found what my passion was, and also I had just burnt myself to the core, that I didn't quite know how I was going to do this. And as a result, there was self-confidence issues, there were self-worth issues, but yet deep down inside, I knew. And so this business has been a journey of really working through all of that, releasing all of that, to step into the full CEO whisperer self. And so it's kind of been that journey of, yeah, breaking down to burnout. Even through this journey, recognizing things in my past that have conditioned me, things that I've needed to let go of, um, childhood stuff, ancestral stuff. I mean, it goes to a big, deep level. I always tell people if you really want to know about yourself, be an entrepreneur because it'll bring out it'll bring out every little thing that you can possibly imagine. But it's really been a journey with bringing out this purpose and bringing out this passion, which is really what I am here to do. There is nothing else for me. This is it. And really bringing that into fruition, but kind of being knocked down a lot of rungs before I got here.
So much there.
Hmm.
I want to go back to pull out a couple of pieces to see if we can highlight them for folks. Burnout is it's very prevalent. It is a buzzword almost.
Hmm.
And I think that if we can, it's interesting because you talk about you burned yourself out, mental, physical, and then you found this deeper soul. And then we can go back to your original quote mantra, keep it simple.
Mhm.
And you talk about those pieces, and so I can see the thread beautifully intertwining to create that what you've created.
Mhm.
How do you listen to yourself when you heard there's something more, there's something bigger? And then how did you maybe listen to yourself but not take an action when you were burning out and you were
Mm.
recognizing, I'm so excited, this is what I love to do, but what happened there? Can you unpack that since you're on the other side of it now to see some of the pitfalls or blind spots that you maybe didn't see at the time?
Oh yeah, there's a lot there. You're never. I felt, at least my experience, and some others that I've known that have kind of gone through similar experiences. It's almost one of those things that sneaks up on you. You're not fully aware it may be happening, in its entirety. Um, but I just knew there wasn't a motivation. There wasn't a. I found myself canceling meetings because the energy just wasn't there. I'm like, this is not me. This is not who I should be. This is not what I want to be. And it kind of it really it snuck up on me. I found later after reflection, but even in the middle of it, I'm like, I'm not happy. I'm not enjoying things. Um, Life feels muddy and difficult right now. There's a whole host of different things, but at that same time is when I have these people reaching out, and when I doing those calls and those sessions with them on the side, that was about the only time I felt alive. This is the only time I felt kind of that excitement, and I didn't really feel like I was working. Everything else felt like work. And while I knew I mean, there was weight gain, it was depression, it was, curled up on the couch in a fetal position. It was all the things that, people don't normally want to admit they're going through, and they go through this quietly. It's not something to go through by yourself, or quietly. But I just knew, and I don't even know how to explain it. There's just this deeper. I recognize all this is happening. I recognize all of it, but I just know there's something else. I just know there's something more. And there's this internal fight or drive because maybe you don't know what it is and you don't know how to get there, but you know it's there. And it's just that internal, like nagging feeling, knowing if you'll just connect to that, you can get there. I promise. There's an answer. There's a way through it. You
Yeah,
can get
I
there.
so appreciate you. I'm pushing a little bit here because this is so insightful.
Mhm.
And when did human design come in for you? Was it before or after?
Yeah, so human design, no, it was after I had started this business, started leaning in. I had my fears, I had my anxiety based on my experience. I didn't want to repeat the burnout. I didn't want to repeat going into this phase. So there's a lot of trepidation. But I was working my way through it, and I was introduced to human design by a coach and mentor I was working with. And it was the tool. I mean, I've been introduced to multitudes of tools over my career. I mean, I know everyone else here probably listening is DISC or Enneagram or, Clifton Strengths and, all the tools, and they're all great, right? You get insight from all of them.
Mhm.
But human design for me was the one that spoke to my heart and said, I finally felt like I had permission to be me. It was that tool that went, oh, you see me to the core. Um, Whereas I never felt that with other tools. It was, found out my profile in human design is a 4/6. So I'm the, optimist or opportunist role model. And it really made sense. as to why I build really deep relationships. And that's where what my life has been around. That's where I've always gotten sales, is these deep relationships. And here I am, I'm trying to, plug away on social media and I'm trying to do all these other marketing tactics. And it was like my permission to go, oh, but that's me. That's how I work. Pivoted my marketing, business took off like that. It was that it was that deep down I see you type feeling when I was introduced to human design. So that's been probably about 4 years. And I instantly knew I'm a sacral authority, so I have a true gut feel in the moment. And I instantly knew I'm going to go get certified in this. And 6 months later, I was certified to put together teams based on human design, and it has just excelled the work I've been able to do with clients.
That's really beautiful. So, in terms of, you said a couple of things when you said permission,
Mhm.
that it gave you permission. So, the structure of the human design gave you permission, or you allowed yourself to own that because it reflected back to you what was inside you, and maybe you weren't able to articulate it, but human design was able to articulate it. Is that,
Yes,
was that
yes.
correct?
It was that deep understanding of, oh, I feel seen by a tool.
Okay.
Kind of deep to my soul, I feel seen by a tool, and I'm going, that's why I've always resisted that somehow internally, or that's how but I've always thought I've had to do it this way, but you're telling me I'm really built to do it this way, and that's why it's always felt easier.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, I'm going to go with that one. I'm not going to go with what's difficult over here. And it was just that mirror.
Right. I think
Yeah.
that's a very valuable, very useful
Mhm.
way for leaders. And when I say leaders, I think everyone needs to step into their leader role
Yes.
and lead their own lives, lead their own thoughts and emotions, and be their leader, right? And
Mhm.
get in alignment and get in harmony as a leader, as a wholeness there. So having that mirror, having that reflection is powerful.
Mhm.
In terms of, I mean, clearly you're resilient, but for you, thank you for sharing that you had that deep time where it was dark, right? Sometimes we call it the dark night of the soul, or we're confronting that dark side of us that has a message. And I'm wondering, does that dark side, does it need to come up so that we see that message, so that we have that juxtaposition?
Mhm.
Or is it a practice? Like for now, do you feel like you're at a higher level where you're not going to go off to that end where it's just like, or do you think that that is naturally part of the process for growth?
Hmm. That's a great question. I think I wish for people not to have to go completely kind of off the cliff, maybe to see some certain things.
Mhm.
But I do feel like seeing that dark side, seeing some of those mirror things, the shadow work, the things that we don't necessarily feel warm and fuzzy about dealing with and confronting, and we naturally as human beings try to shy away from dealing with it because it's not always easy.
Right.
But that's actually where you can learn the most about yourself, go deeper, grow. And so I don't regret any of my journey. Do I wish at certain points in my life I wasn't so stubborn-headed and had to learn lessons in ways that I've learned them, but I don't ever look at anything in life and regret it. I don't look at any decisions, any burnout and go, oh, that was terrible. Sure, it was terrible, but I also learned everything that came from it. And so
Right.
I do believe at this point, because for you don't necessarily know what's happening. So the sooner you can figure out and recognize what's happening and kind of embrace it is for your higher good, the easier it is to deal with that. And you get to a point where you are at a higher vibration. You are at a higher level because you've recognized these pieces about yourself. You've learned how to release them. You've learned how to grow from them. But it's a lifelong journey. It's not one that you go through and, yay, I've arrived. which is hard for us analytic, logical people to deal with, that it's not just a to-do list you check off. But when you get to a certain point where now you have some tools, now you know, oh, this is how it is. And I can recognize things as they come up. We're
Mhm.
all kind of like layers, and you go through different experiences, and something may bubble up that wasn't ready to be dealt with, that wasn't ready to be released, and now it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The next question is really about what advice would you give to that up and coming leader, or even to your past self, which sounds to me like you would have given them all that you just said.
Mhm.
But I'm wondering if there's a piece that you could share
Mhm.
specifically around, like, knowing everything you've just shared, because you've kind of just given us uh, an overview of quite a journey, right?
Mhm.
And from all of that, you're still very young.
Mhm.
So, what would you tell someone who is at that cusp? They are trying to hold it all together. They're maybe they're not on the couch totally depressed. They're listening to a podcast, but they're trying to hold it all together and they know something's off. What's the first thing you would tell them? And then maybe give them like something tangible.
So the first thing that I would tell them is you're not alone and you're not wrong. If you are feeling that something is off and it's okay. Meaning it's not okay that it's off, but it's okay that you recognize it. It means you're aware. And once you're aware, then you can get the help, you can get the support to not be in the throes of it, but learn how to move around it and move past it. What I would say at that point, I had tools. I did not have the tools that I have now, but I did lean into the tools that I had. I was very avid into acupuncture. I'm actually clear that I probably would not have made it very well, um, if at all, through that situation, had I not been going to acupuncture and trying to take care of myself as much as I could in the moment. But I
So
would
it
say
took,
reach out for help,
yeah,
period.
so it was more of a physical, it was a physiological for you then. It was health, physiological manifestations.
It was health, it was mental. I mean, I was aware of the depressive, like mental feelings, mental state, as well as, I mean, my hormones were all off. In a female, we do that. There was weight gain. There was a lot of the health things
Mhm.
and the physical things, as well as the mental aspects.
So I want to highlight that for a moment because that's my specialty, right? As a holistic health practitioner, this is exactly what I do. Because we, as women, especially, we're not meant to be out there battling the saber-toothed tiger, and yet our bodies and our minds are thinking that we are every day in high stress.
Yes.
And that's just normal. That is literally normal for today's, you go on any social media platform and you're going to feel stress. The point that I wanted to make on this is that the, we forget that our physical body and our physiological
Mhm.
pieces are almost the delay, though, because there was something happening before, and that it came and manifested in the physical body, and then in a state of depression something was happening before.
Mhm.
And I think we've discussed this before in talking before, because you were authentic with me in our conversation. That's why I'm so grateful that you're willing to be on the podcast and talk this through, because I think it's so important for leaders to understand, especially women leaders who can understand that they are different, that they should not be pushing through like a man does, driving harder, forcing it. I've just got to push myself. I've just got to get up and get through this. That's actually the antithesis to your success and your well-being. And so that you brought that up. And I love the self-care practice of doing acupuncture and taking those steps. That is so important, so important. Thank you for that.
Yeah, and what I would say is, just even deeper into that, I have uncovered through all of this that there was a lot of pain I had been feeling for 10, 12, close to 15 years. Mysterious pain. Everyone dismissed it, right?
I hear that so
Ended
much.
up, it was all emotional, it was all energetic stuff that was stuck. I've
Mhm.
now been able to release it, but it's not a wonder no doctor found anything wrong with me because there was nothing wrong. It just manifested itself
Right. That's
in
correct.
pain. As I went through in my 30s, hormone issues, being dismissed and going, oh, well, you, I mean, why are you complaining about that? Like, you're just female. This is just what happens. I'm like, no, I'm in my 30s. This is not what happens.
Right.
Advocate for yourselves. If you don't feel like this is right, advocate. I guarantee, even if you aren't finding it Western medicine, you can find some other avenue that will help with uncovering what's behind. But there are a lot of physical things. Inflammation that can just look like weight gain that you can't let go of, that's caused by stress, that's caused by emotions that are stuck, that's caused by all of the things. You're slaving away for years in a gym and trying every diet under the sun.
Right.
Most likely, it really isn't that at the core. It's
Yeah.
all this other stuff that we don't talk about enough that affects us physically.
I'm hearing it more and more. I've been
Yeah.
talking about it for 30 years. This is a really key piece of looking at the whole person.
Mhm.
And I love how you tie it in with the whole business,
Mhm.
specifically looking at people,
Mhm.
structure, the systems. Yes, the profit, because of course, if your business is not profitable, you're not going to have a business for very long at all. So,
Right.
how do you tie that in? Can you bring that all together for us?
Oh,
Bring it together.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's one of those things I don't know that everyone expects that when they start working with me, because I take a very black and white, structured, almost masculine thing of operations, meaning your team and your systems and your processes and how you function on the back end, and add this whole layer of um, you know, organic, holistic philosophies. And it actually gets my clients extremely quick wins and a lot of hidden money that we find. It can be as simple as someone that, entrepreneurs going about their business. Maybe they've figured out they are a natural networker and they're networking here and there, working 60, 90 hours a week. In fact, this happened with a client here recently. Um, Multiple different networking groups doing really well, but just not, I mean, this wasn't worth it. This wasn't sustainable.
Mhm.
Literally cut 20 hours out of her week and increased her monthly income by $9,800.
Right, by balancing it with the systems, with getting things aligned. Yeah, I think that that's a key piece that so many women business owners are missing. We could put men in there as well. It doesn't matter. If you're imbalanced, that's where you're going to see the holes. And someone who's competent like yourself, who's been through it, and then you've got the skills and the tools to go in and be able to see that and see those blind spots and then bring back in alignment and harmony. I think that that's so vital. That's
Mhm,
so needed, so necessary.
mhm.
As we get closer to the end of this interview, I always like to ask what your favorite book is or your go-to book or books. What are your recommendations?
Oh, that's another fabulous question. I am in the middle of a really great book, and probably going to do a book club on it as well with some colleagues. But it's really about letting go. It's a lot about how to recognize some of the feelings that are coming up and how to really let go of everything that is not serving us, which is really a key piece in finding that life and that business and that flow that you're looking for. I mean, that is the absolute core of things. And so if you're looking for some guidance on exactly how to do that, that one is a fabulous,
Is that letting
fabulous
go?
book. Yeah, letting go.
Is that David Hawkins?
No, it is. No, I can't remember the author. I will find the author.
Okay.
It is over on my bookshelf.
Awesome. There is a book that David talks about. He did Power versus Force.
Mm-hmm.
letting go, and it's superb. So good. I'm curious if this is.
Oh, so it is David Hawkins. My
It is.
apologies. Yeah,
Okay.
it is Letting Go, The Pathway to Surrender, David Hawkins.
Yeah, it's a
It's a
must read.
phenomenal book.
Yes, it is.
Phenomenal
I
book.
agree 100%. And if someone can take that, I often recommend books to my clients, and some resonate, and I'll see where they're at because
Mhm.
some are just not ready, so they can't hear that. But some
Yes.
are just like, yep, I'm ready. Do you have any others?
Um,
What's your
oh,
favorite one from the past?
um, Favorite from the past. So, I also read The Let Them Theory.
Yeah.
That is one that I feel like more can kind of resonate with um, very, very quickly. It's a
Mhm.
great way to, she keeps it very realistic. It's by Mel
That
Robbins.
Mel
Yeah.
Robbins.
She
I
keeps it
prefer the
very,
original. The gal who started this, she was phenomenal. And if you go to um, she created a bit of a movement prior to Mel,
mhm.
and there's that theme that comes through all through this of this letting go,
Yeah.
and then let them. It's like, yeah, interesting. Okay, I have one other question.
Yeah.
And in terms of how, like, clearly it is an incredible pleasure to do what you love and to be successful at what you do. And there's a balance. So I was really surprised when I saw that you're also a foster kitty. What makes you do something like that? Because that requires a lot of time, a lot of energy. You're
Mhm.
basically like a mom to infants,
Yes. Pretty
and
much.
sometimes
Yeah.
many infants, and you
Yes.
never know if they're going to live or die. And it requires a lot of deep care.
Mhm.
I know that's who you are at your core.
Mhm.
How do you balance that?
I will only take fosters when I have the capacity and time to take them because uh, I have a soft spot for singletons. And for those of you that don't know, they come into the shelter. I foster for the local shelter, and they'll come in. They don't have a mom. They don't have siblings. They don't know the story or how it happened. And I just have a real soft spot because they're literally all alone in the world. And my little heart can't let them be all alone in the world. And so we have an entire room upstairs that is dedicated to fosters. And my husband and I will actually, we have laptops. So if I have fosters, 9 times out of 10, we'll have meetings upstairs in the foster room, and I'm there with them. I'm doing both things that I love because I work with people that understand that's also part of my life. In fact, you can't really see him. One of my babies is right back there on his little couch. Um, it's one of my passions, and I refuse to not pursue one of my passions because of what other people's demands are on me.
Mm,
It's what feeds my heart, and that's what I choose to make a part of my life. Now, don't get me wrong, when we have the really young ones or bottle babies or things like that, it's a lot of time. It's a lot of lack of sleep, but there's a bed up there for a reason.
yeah, I love
Hmm.
that.
Yeah.
And I love how you have your priorities. I can hear that, from the quote in the beginning, keeping it simple, but you're very specific about what's important.
Hmm.
And you have the courage to walk that. And I think that that's for me the number one takeaway. I'm Because you are focused on business coaching
Hmm.
and in a holistic way, money is going to come down to it. So let's just wrap with the concept with regards to leaking money
Yes.
and what you see as the biggest culprit when business owners, CEOs are leaking money, which we know is energy, but I want your take on that.
Um, it's hard to choose the biggest, but I would say the top three places that I find big amounts of money kind of hiding in your business. And there's actual savings, there's opportunity savings, and there's time savings. Is your time. It's your time. it's your team's time. Every single thing that we look at and we ends up coming down to time. And it's a math problem. There's so many hours in a day. Where do we want to spend them and where do we need to spend them? And it's getting really down to the nitty-gritty of taking out the shoulds, taking out the coulds, and really going, but where do I need to be and what do I need to be doing? Having the courage to delegate, having the courage to trust, having the courage to know that the other people and things and systems around us completely support exactly where we should be.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. And then committing to
Yes.
what needs to be done, right? 'Cause that's the
Yes.
next, you got to commit to it.
Hmm.
Mara, thank you so much for your time. What a wonderful conversation. And I know you have a specific gift. Will you share about that free guide that you have? It's about missing money, yes?
It is about missing money. It's kind of a starting point where you can step back as the leader, as the CEO, and start to really take a look at your business as a whole. And it's really the top three places that I go to look for money. It's your systems and processes, it's your team, and your time. And it's really kind of a guide and a workbook and a starting point for you to go, oh, oh, that may be, where it's really your opportunity to start taking that step back, and gathering that information and really taking an objective look. But I kind of guide you through those three places. There's a lot more places, but let's start with the three. And then we can always chat afterwards and kind of dive deeper into your specific situation. But yeah, it's a pretty complex guide, but I've offered it for free for you guys.
Excellent. Thank you so much. We'll make sure that gets into the notes. It's at whitenerpros.com/missing hyphen money.
Mhm.
Well, if today's episode resonated, please share it with a fellow leader who needs to hear this and leave us a review. It helps us get to more people and help them lead stronger, longer. But until next time,
Mhm.
lead well and actually live well.